The stars were silent. Captain Ilara Voss sat in the bridge chair of the USS Dauntless, staring at the endless black stretch of space. Once this expanse had been filled with the buzzing activity of the human fleet. Ships had patrolled these sectors, engines humming, shields glowing, and communication channels alive with voices. Now all that remained was the Dauntless drifting alone like a solitary heartbeat in the void. The attack had been sudden. One moment the fleet was moving in formation near the Orion expanse, scanning for Xylar movements, and the next, explosions had torn ships apart. Metal had screamed, fire had blazed, and human voices had shouted across channels that were instantly silenced. The enemy had struck with speed and precision, and the fleet, proud and massive, had been reduced to wreckage. Ilara pressed her hands to the armrests of her chair, feeling the vibration of the ship's remaining engines. She was exhausted. Months of space travel, tense patrols, and drills had led to this moment, a moment that felt as heavy as the vacuum pressing on the hull outside. She had thought she understood what it meant to lead, but leadership under this kind of loss was different. She could feel it in every fiber of her being. The fleet was gone. Only the Dauntless remained. "Status report," she said, her voice steady despite the tension. The young lieutenant at the communications console, Rena Hall, swallowed nervously. Her fingers danced across the holographic panel. "Captain, life support is at 90%, shields at 62. Engine output is fluctuating. Sensors detect multiple debris fields and unidentified drones, likely hostile. No signs of friendly ships. We are completely alone." Ilara's jaw tightened. She had expected nothing less. The silence beyond the ship was absolute, except for the soft hum of the engines and the faint crackle of damaged consoles. She looked around the bridge. The crew's faces were pale, shadows under their eyes, exhaustion written in every movement. They had survived the attack, but survival was only the beginning. "Very well," she said. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Keep shields as high as possible. Everyone remain alert. The Xylar drones will not give up easily." A heavy pause settled over the bridge. Even though the crew obeyed orders, fear lingered. They had witnessed the fleet fall. Many of them had friends and family aboard ships that now floated lifelessly in the void. The pain of loss was sharp, but there was no time to grieve. Space did not wait for sorrow. Space did not wait at all. Ilara moved to the star map projected in front of her. Tiny points of light marked distant systems. Somewhere out there they had to find safety, or at least a chance to regroup. She tapped a few coordinates, highlighting potential escape routes. "We will chart a course to the nearest neutral system," she said. "It's a long shot, but it's our best chance." From the engineering deck below, the ship's AI, Aegis, spoke in a calm, soothing tone. "Captain Voss, engine output will stabilize at optimal levels within 2 minutes. I recommend recalibrating the shield matrix to account for micrometeor impacts. Additionally, I have detected minor hull breaches at sections 3B and 4C. Repairs should be prioritized." Ilara nodded. "Thank you, Aegis. Make it happen. Lieutenant Hall, notify engineering. Get those breaches sealed before the drones find us." The bridge hummed with focused activity. The crew moved efficiently, following orders without hesitation. Even under fear, humans had a way of adapting, and Ilara felt a small surge of pride. This was why humanity had survived in countless hostile worlds. We did not give up. We adapted. We endured. Suddenly, the sensors beeped frantically. Red lights flashed across the panels. The drones had found them. "Captain," Rena gasped, "we're being targeted. Multiple hostiles approaching from Vector 7-2. Ilara's mind snapped into focus. Raise shields to maximum. Engage evasive thrusters. Aegis, plot a course through the asteroid belt nearby. Use the debris for cover." The ship lurched as thrusters fired, adjusting their course. Outside the viewports, jagged rocks tumbled through the darkness, illuminated by the flickering lights of the Dauntless. The drones pursued sleek and deadly, their energy weapons glowing like angry stars. The battle had begun. For hours they dodged and weaved through the asteroid belt. The AI's calculations and the crew's instinctive maneuvers saved the ship from destruction again and again. Ilara could feel the tension building in her chest, but she refused to show it. She had to remain calm. The crew looked to her for guidance, and she could not fail them. Finally, the drones broke off, unable to match the combination of human unpredictability and AI precision. The Dauntless emerged from the asteroid field battered, smoking, but intact. Ilara let out a slow breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The bridge was quiet now, save for the low hum of the engines and the soft clicking of consoles. The crew slumped into their chairs, exhaustion evident. "We survived," she said softly, almost to herself. "For now we survive." Aegis's calm voice broke the silence. "Captain, while immediate danger is past, we must remain cautious. Damage sustained will require several hours of repair, and life support is beginning to strain under current conditions." Ilara's eyes swept across the bridge. "I know," she said. "We will manage. Humanity has survived worse than this. We always do." That night, or what passed for night aboard the Dauntless, Ilara walked through the empty corridors of the ship. The quiet was eerie. The soft hum of the engines filled the void. She paused at a viewport, staring into the endless black. Among the stars there was no sound, no movement, nothing but the memory of a fleet that had once been. Yet even in the silence, she felt a spark of defiance. Humanity was gone in numbers perhaps, but not in spirit. As long as the Dauntless floated, as long as she and her crew breathed, humanity had not ended. They would carry on. They would fight. They would survive. Ilara returned to the bridge and took her seat again. "Set course for the neutral system," she ordered. "Maximum warp!" The engines roared to life, shaking the ship. Stars stretched into lines of light as they jumped into warp. For a moment there was relief, a brief sense of motion, of purpose. But Ilara knew the danger was far from over. The Xylar would not forget. They would come for the last human ship. Still, in that moment, hope burned brightly. The Dauntless was alive. The crew was alive. And as long as they were, humanity refused to die. Ilara allowed herself a small smile. One ship alone might not seem like much against the vast galaxy. But even one human heart, one human mind could change the course of events. And the Dauntless would be that heart. The Dauntless would be that mind. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, but Captain Voss knew one thing for certain. She would not give up. She would not surrender. And the Dauntless, battered and alone, would fight to survive against all odds. Somewhere out there, the fleet may have been gone, but the spirit of humanity was still alive, burning fiercely aboard the ship that refused to die. The silence of space was broken by a low warning alarm. Captain Ilara Voss sat upright in her chair, eyes scanning the holographic display before her. The USS Dauntless had barely escaped the ambush near the Orion expanse, and now, even as the stars stretched into streaks of light through warp, danger was closing in again. Multiple unidentified contacts blinked red on the sensors, Xylar drones. They were relentless, designed to hunt and destroy, and somehow they had tracked the Dauntless through the asteroid field. "Shields are holding, but not for long," said Lieutenant Rena Hall, her voice tense. She tapped the console furiously, trying to anticipate the drone's movement. "They're fast, Captain. Too fast for standard evasive maneuvers." Ilara's jaw tightened. "Then we do what humans do best. We adapt." She turned toward the AI, Aegis, whose voice was calm, almost soothing in the chaos. "Aegis, analyze the drone's formation. Find any weaknesses. I want every option on the table." "Understood, Captain," Aegis replied. "Analysis in progress. Recommendation: combine evasive maneuvers with environmental hazards. Potential for survival 78%. Ilara allowed herself a brief nod. 78%. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than nothing. "Rena, alert engineering. Get all systems optimized for high-intensity evasive maneuvers. Crew, prepare for rapid response. We are not going to die today." The Dauntless shuddered as thrusters flared, adjusting the course in a sharp arc. Outside the viewport, the darkness of space was punctuated by the red glow of Xylar drones, moving with precision that made them deadly. The first energy blasts hit the shields. Sparks of violet light danced across the viewports. The crew gritted their teeth as the ship rocked under the impact. "Shields at 50%, shouted Rena. "Hull integrity dropping." Ilara stood, her hands gripping the rail in front of the bridge. "We are human. We do not vanish quietly. We fight, we survive. Aegis, execute evasive trajectory Gamma 12. The AI's calm voice cut through the tension. Trajectory executed. Estimated probability of evasion, 63%. The Dauntless veered sharply, weaving through an uncharted cluster of small asteroids. Dust and rocks tumbled around them, creating a temporary shield from the drone's sensors. The Xylar machines hesitated, scanning the chaotic movement, giving the humans a precious few seconds to escape. Below deck, Engineers worked feverishly, repairing minor hull breaches and rerouting power to reinforce shields. Sweat ran down the faces of the crew, their fingers flying over panels as alarms continued to blare. Yet even in exhaustion there was determination. The Dauntless might have been alone, but the crew would not surrender. "Ilara," Rena called. "We can't keep this up forever. They'll adapt to our maneuvers." Ilara's eyes narrowed. "Then we outsmart them. Humans have survived against worse. We think, we plan, we improvise. That is our strength." Suddenly, Aegis interrupted.
"Captain, I have an idea."
"There is a derelict mining station nearby. Its energy emissions could create a temporary electromagnetic interference field. If we lure the drones close, we may be able to disable their targeting systems." Ilara considered the suggestion. "It's risky, but it's our best shot. Plot a course, Aegis. We'll use the station as bait." The Dauntless altered its trajectory, stars streaking past as the ship dropped out of warp near the abandoned station. Rusting structures and silent machinery floated in the void. The drones were already closing in, their glowing weapons primed to fire. "All crew brace for maneuver," Ilara commanded. "This is going to be close." The Dauntless entered the station's interference field. Energy crackled in the void as the station's emissions disrupted the drone's targeting systems. Beams of light flickered and misfired, missing the ship by meters. The crew cheered silently, adrenaline surging. "Now," Ilara shouted. "Engage countermeasures." Missiles and electronic pulses fired from the Dauntless, taking advantage of the drone's temporary confusion. Several drones exploded in brilliant flashes. Others spun out of control, colliding with the station's debris. It was a dangerous gamble, but it worked. For the first time since the ambush, humanity had turned the tide, if only for a moment. The bridge was alive with controlled chaos. Engineers rerouted power to the shields. Technicians calculated new trajectories, and Rena monitored the drone's weakened systems. The Dauntless, battered but functional, had survived another attack. Ilara allowed herself a small smile. "Good work, everyone. We're not out of danger yet, but we have shown that one human ship can fight back." Yet survival came at a cost. Supplies were dwindling, engines were strained, and the crew was exhausted. Every system hummed under the pressure of continuous use. The Dauntless was alive, but barely. The reality of isolation weighed heavily. The rest of the fleet was gone, and the galaxy seemed vast and indifferent. Below the bridge, some of the crew gathered in the mess hall. They ate in silence, sharing brief glances but few words. The battle had left them shaken. Even the strongest among them could not ignore the fear that crept into their hearts, the fear that they were alone in the universe. Ilara walked among them, her presence quiet but commanding. "I know it's hard," she said softly, "but we are still here. We are still human, and as long as we are, we have a chance. Hope is not gone, not while we breathe, not while the Dauntless sails through the stars." Her words brought comfort, if only briefly. Humans were remarkable in this way. They could find courage even in the face of despair. They could find hope even when all seemed lost. The crew of the Dauntless embodied that spirit, and Ilara felt a surge of pride. Back on the bridge, sensors beeped again. More drones were detected, approaching from a different vector. The fight was not over. The Xylar were relentless, and they had not yet given up. Ilara took a deep breath. "Prepare for the next wave. We will not die quietly. We will not surrender. We will survive." Aegis's voice was calm. "Acknowledged, Captain. Tactical systems optimized for evasive combat. Probability of survival 69%. Better than nothing," Ilara muttered. She turned to the crew. "Remember this, no matter the odds, no matter how alone we are, humans never give up. We adapt, we endure, and we fight. Today we survive. Tomorrow we continue. One vessel, one crew, one human spirit that refuses to die." Outside, the stars shone cold and distant. The Xylar drones advanced, but the Dauntless moved with them, weaving, dodging, and striking with precision. Each maneuver was a testament to human ingenuity, each strategy a blend of courage and quick thinking. The ship was alive and its crew was alive, and together they refused to be extinguished. Hours passed like minutes. The crew rotated through shifts, repairing, recalibrating, and maintaining the ship's fragile systems. The Dauntless had become more than a vessel. It had become a symbol of persistence, a moving monument to the human spirit. Ilara stood on the bridge once more, staring at the stars ahead. The battle had been won for now, but the war was far from over. She did not know what awaited them in the depths of space. What threats lurked unseen among the stars? But she knew this. As long as the Dauntless sailed, humanity was not finished. The ship might be alone, the fleet destroyed, the galaxy vast and dangerous. But one human vessel refused to die. And aboard it, hope, courage, and defiance burned brighter than any star. Ilara allowed herself a brief smile, a quiet moment of resolve. "We survive," she whispered. "Because we must. And because we can." The USS Dauntless drifted through the black emptiness of space, battered but unbroken. Its crew, weary from the relentless pursuit of the Xylar drones, moved silently along the corridors. Each member carried the weight of survival, the memory of the fleet lost, and the knowledge that the galaxy seemed to have forgotten them. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the bridge, her hands resting on the console as she stared at the star map projected before her. The path ahead was uncertain, but hope glimmered faintly on the edge of the darkness. "Aegis," she said, her voice steady despite the tension. "Scan for nearby systems. Look for signs of human activity, or at least resources we can use." The AI's voice responded without hesitation. "Scanning in progress. Captain, there is a derelict human research outpost located 12 light minutes from our current position. Life support systems are offline, but structural integrity is mostly intact. Probability of usable supplies high." Ilara allowed herself a small, rare smile. "Set course. Maximum warp." As the Dauntless accelerated, the crew prepared for another dangerous approach. They had learned to move as one, trusting in each other and in Aegis. Even in the darkest reaches of space, the humans found a rhythm, a way to survive together. When the outpost came into view, it was a shadow of humanity's past glory. Rusting panels, broken antennas, and silent corridors stretched across the void. The station had once been a hub of research, a place where humans had studied distant stars and tested technologies that pushed the boundaries of possibility. Now it was quiet, empty, and waiting for them. "Docking sequence initiated," Rena Hall reported, her fingers flying across the console. "Magnetic locks engaged. Boarding team standing by," Ilara nodded. "Good, let's move quickly but carefully. There's no telling what might be left behind or what might still be watching us." The boarding team entered the station in small groups, their suits sealed against the vacuum of space. The interior was dark and dusty, illuminated only by their helmet lights. The smell of stale air and abandoned machinery filled the corridors. Every step echoed, reminding them of the absence of human life that had once thrived here. "Look at this," whispered Lieutenant Merrick, pointing to a series of terminals. "These are old human logs, personal journals, research notes, star charts, all abandoned." Ilara approached, her eyes scanning the data. She could feel the presence of those who had come before. Humanity had always reached for the stars, seeking knowledge and understanding even when danger loomed. These logs were more than data. They were echoes of human courage, curiosity, and determination. "This is what we are fighting for," Ilara said softly. "Not just to survive, but to continue the work of those who came before us. Humanity doesn't vanish. We endure, we explore, we persist." The crew gathered supplies as quickly as they could. Food, water, medical kits, and energy cells were packed into the Dauntless. Every item they recovered was a step towards survival, but it also reminded them of the fragility of life in the galaxy. Humanity's presence here had been brief, and yet its impact lingered. While the crew worked, Aegis monitored the Dauntless's systems. "Captain, analysis indicates that using the station's power grid temporarily could enhance our shield output. This may give us a strategic advantage if the Xylar pursue us." Ilara considered the suggestion. "Do it, but carefully. We can't risk damaging the station further. Every piece of human ingenuity still here is a reminder of what we stand for." As the Dauntless's shields hummed with renewed energy, the ship felt alive again, strengthened by human knowledge and human determination. The crew had survived another trial, and the spark of hope glimmered brighter than before. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the bridge. "Captain, unidentified contacts detected. Sensors indicate Xylar drones approaching rapidly," Rena shouted, her fingers flying over the console. Ilara's jaw tightened. "They never stop, but neither do we." She turned toward Aegis. "Calculate a strategy. Use the station's layout to our advantage. We will not go quietly into the void." The AI responded immediately. "Recommendation: lure drones into the station's interior corridors. Limited space will reduce their maneuverability and allow targeted countermeasures. Perfect, Alara said. Lieutenant Hall, pilot team execute. Everyone else prepare to support. The Dauntless maneuvered with precision, guiding the drones into the abandoned outpost. Energy beams flashed across the dark corridors, narrowly missing walls and equipment. The Xylar drones were fast, efficient, and deadly, but they were not human. They could not anticipate improvisation. They could not adapt like the Dauntless crew. Hit their formation from above, Alara commanded. Use the station's gravity field to destabilize their approach. The ship's turrets fired in a synchronized pattern. Several drones collided with structural beams, exploding in flashes of light that illuminated the dark corridors. Others spun uncontrollably, their targeting systems disrupted by the station's interference field. The crew held their ground, moving swiftly to adjust shields and countermeasures. After hours of intense maneuvering, the Dauntless emerged victorious. The drones had been neutralized or forced to retreat. The crew let out a collective sigh of relief, though exhaustion weighed heavily on every member. They had survived once again through ingenuity, courage, and teamwork. Alara looked around the bridge at the faces of those who had endured so much. "We are still here," she said softly. "Despite everything, we continue. That is what makes us human. That is what will carry us forward." For a moment, the vast emptiness of space seemed less frightening. They were alone, yes, but they were also survivors. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and they would do so again. The echoes of the past, the research, the abandoned outpost, all of it reminded them of what they could achieve. The crew took time to rest and repair the ship. Engineers worked tirelessly to ensure the engines could handle prolonged warp, while medics tended to minor injuries. Every corner of the Dauntless was alive with activity, a testament to human determination. Even the AI Aegis had evolved subtly, anticipating needs before they were expressed, adapting alongside its human crew. At the end of the cycle, Alara returned to the viewport. Stars stretched endlessly before her, distant and cold. Yet within the darkness she saw possibilities. Every light represented a star system waiting to be explored, planets waiting to be studied, and knowledge waiting to be discovered. Humanity might be small in this vast galaxy, but it was persistent, clever, and resilient. Rena approached quietly. "Captain, do you think we'll ever find others?" Alara paused, considering the question. "I don't know," she admitted. "Perhaps not. But even if we never do, it doesn't matter. Humanity is more than numbers. It's spirit. It's courage. And as long as we keep moving forward, we are not truly alone." The crew gathered in the observation deck, sharing a quiet meal. Conversations were soft, reflective, but filled with renewed determination. They had seen loss, but they had also seen that survival was possible. The Dauntless had become more than a ship. It was a sanctuary, a symbol of human persistence, a vessel carrying hope through the void. As the Dauntless prepared to leave the derelict station, Aegis spoke with a tone of calm assurance. "Captain, trajectory plotted for the next neutral system. Estimated travel time 42 hours. No immediate threats detected. All systems stable for sustained travel." Alara nodded. "Very well. Set course. Maximum warp. And Aegis, keep us ready. The Xylar will return, but we will be ready for them." The ship moved into warp, stars stretching into brilliant streaks of light as it left the station behind. For the crew, it was more than movement, it was a statement. Humanity was still alive. Humanity still mattered. And as long as the Dauntless sailed, humans would continue to endure, explore, and fight. Somewhere out there, the galaxy waited. Dangers lurked in the darkness. Challenges would come again. But the Dauntless, with its crew of determined humans and a vigilant AI, would meet them. Not with fear, but with courage. Not with surrender, but with hope. Alara rested her hands on the console, her mind focused on the journey ahead. "We survive," she whispered again, almost as a promise. "Not because it is easy, but because we are human. And one human vessel against all odds refuses to die." The stars stretched endlessly ahead, but the humans aboard the Dauntless felt a spark within themselves. A spark of determination, ingenuity, and hope. The galaxy might be vast, but they were not powerless. They were survivors. They were explorers. And they were human. The echoes of humanity, once thought lost, now traveled aboard a single ship. And with that ship, the story of survival continued. The USS Dauntless glided through the empty reaches of space, its hull battered but unbroken, its engines humming steadily. Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the star map. After weeks of near-constant pursuit, repairs, and narrow escapes, the crew was weary, but not defeated. Humanity had survived worse, and they would not surrender now. Aegis status report, Alara said, her voice steady. All systems stable, Captain. The AI responded. Hull integrity at 78%, shields at 65%. Life support operating within normal parameters. No immediate threats detected. Alara allowed herself a moment of relief, though she knew it was temporary. The Xylar would return. They always did. But the crew had learned something important. Humans were unpredictable. Humans could adapt in ways the Xylar never anticipated. Lieutenant Hall, Alara said, turning to the young officer at the console. Plot an intercept course. We are not running forever. It's time to take the fight to them on our terms. Rena's eyes widened. Captain, you mean attack? We are alone. They have numbers. We're barely holding together as it is. Alara nodded. Exactly. They think we are weak because we are few, but they underestimate us. Humanity does not give up. We use intelligence, creativity, and courage. We turn survival into strategy. This is our chance to strike back, Aegis interjected calmly. Captain, analysis of Xylar communication networks indicates a vulnerability. Their drones rely on centralized command signals. A well-timed strike at the command node could disrupt their forces. Alara's eyes brightened. Then that is our target. Prepare a tactical plan. We are going to make them regret ever attacking humanity. The crew moved with renewed purpose. Engineers fine-tuned weapons, reinforced shields, and recalibrated engines for optimal speed. Technicians analyzed the Xylar network, feeding data to the bridge. Even in exhaustion, every human aboard the Dauntless contributed, fueled by determination and the unshakable belief that they would survive. Captain, Rena said after a long pause, we can do this. We have to. It's now or never. Alara placed a hand on her shoulder. That's right. Remember, courage, intelligence, and teamwork. We are human. We will prevail. The Dauntless left warp near the coordinates of the Xylar command hub. The station was massive, a dark angular structure floating ominously against the backdrop of distant stars. Energy fields pulsed rhythmically, and hundreds of drones patrolled the perimeter. It was a fortress, but no fortress was perfect. Aegis calculated their approach. Recommendation: utilize the asteroid belt nearby for cover. Approach from Vector 9-1 to minimize detection. Then strike using targeted energy pulses and electronic interference. Alara nodded. Prepare for evasive approach. Crew, this is it. Precision, coordination, and courage. Everyone is counted on. We either succeed together or fail together. I know which one we will choose. The Dauntless maneuvered carefully, slipping among jagged asteroids as drones scanned the area. The tension on the bridge was palpable. Every creak of the hull, every flicker of light on the sensors kept the crew alert. Then, as predicted, the drones detected them and launched an attack. Shields at 80%, Rena reported. Incoming fire from Vector 3-4. Alara gave rapid orders. Evasive thrusters active. Aegis, deploy countermeasures and interference pulse. Energy flares shot from the Dauntless, illuminating the darkness as drones were forced to dodge. The ship twisted and spun among the asteroids, weaving unpredictably. The Xylar drones, though fast and lethal, could not anticipate the improvisation of the human crew. Hours passed in a blur of tension. The Dauntless launched careful strikes at the Xylar patrols, dismantling drones one by one while avoiding critical damage. The crew worked in perfect coordination, each human instinctively understanding the flow of battle, each movement calculated and precise. Then Aegis spoke. Captain, opportunity detected. Command node exposure window is active for 30 seconds. Probability of successful strike 67%. Alara's eyes narrowed. That's our moment. Fire at will. Missiles launched with deadly precision. Energy pulses disrupted the node and alarms erupted across the Xylar station. Drones lost coordination, colliding with one another or spinning out of control. The once formidable defense system had become chaotic, and the humans seized the advantage. All systems, fire in coordinated bursts, Alara commanded. Take them down while they are disoriented. The Dauntless unleashed a barrage of carefully aimed attacks. Drones exploded in brilliant flashes of light, The station shook and the Xylar command hub struggled to regain control. For the first time since the fleet's destruction, humanity was not merely surviving, they were winning. The bridge erupted with quiet cheers, the first real relief the crew had felt in days. Ilara allowed herself a small smile. Well done, everyone. Humanity fights back, and today we prove it. But victory was not complete. The station was large, and fragments of the Xylar network remained operational. They would retaliate. Ilara knew they had little time to act before the drones reorganized. Prepare for final strike, she said, her voice calm but firm. We finish this now. Using the interference from the asteroid belt and the chaos in the command network, the Dauntless moved in for precise strikes. Every shot, every maneuver was coordinated by the crew and Aegis, a perfect blend of human intuition and AI precision. One by one, the remaining drones fell until the station was silent. The crew stared at the aftermath in awe. They had done what seemed impossible. They had turned the tide against a force that had destroyed an entire fleet. Humanity had shown resilience, intelligence, and courage, the very traits that made them impossible to defeat completely. Ilara allowed herself a moment of reflection. We are human, she said quietly. We are small in the universe, but we are never powerless. We think, we adapt, we endure, and today we proved it. The Dauntless left the Xylar station behind, engines steady as they charted a new course. The galaxy stretched endlessly ahead, filled with unknown dangers, but the crew no longer felt powerless. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. Rena approached Ilara on the bridge. Captain, what now? Do we continue to fight? Ilara smiled, a mixture of pride and determination in her expression. We continue. Humanity survives not by hiding, but by facing challenges head-on. We will move forward, explore, and defend ourselves. One vessel may not be much in the galaxy, but one vessel can carry hope. And hope is powerful. Aegis's calm voice filled the bridge. Captain, trajectory plotted for the next neutral system. All systems stable. Probability of safe travel, 92%. Ilara allowed herself a small, rare smile. Then let's go. The universe is vast, but humanity will not vanish. Not today. Not ever. The stars streaked past as the Dauntless entered warp. For the first time since the fleet's destruction, the crew felt the strength of possibility. They had faced annihilation, evasion, and despair, and now they had won a battle. The Xylar would return, yes, but the humans aboard the Dauntless were ready. They had learned, adapted, and grown stronger. And though the fleet was gone, the last human vessel carried not only the remnants of a lost force, but the enduring spirit of humanity itself. Courage, ingenuity, and defiance thrived aboard the Dauntless, ensuring that even in the vast, dark reaches of space, humanity refused to die. Ilara rested her hands on the console, gazing at the endless expanse ahead. We survive, she whispered, almost as a promise. Not because it is easy, but because we are human, and one human vessel against all odds refuses to die. The crew watched the stars in quiet reflection. Each knew the path ahead would not be easy, that dangers awaited in the uncharted reaches of space. Yet they also knew one truth. They were human, and that alone gave them power beyond measure. The Dauntless sailed onward, battered but victorious, a lone beacon of humanity in a galaxy that had tried to erase them. The turning tide had begun, and the last human ship would not be stopped. The USS Dauntless drifted through the cold void of space, a lone survivor of a fleet that had once been mighty. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the bridge, gazing at the endless stars that stretched before them. The Xylar threat had been temporarily weakened, their command hub destroyed, but the galaxy was vast and danger could come from anywhere. The crew worked quietly, each member focused on their tasks. Engines were recalibrated, weapons systems maintained, and life support carefully monitored. Though tired and battered, their spirits had grown stronger with every challenge they had survived. Humanity's determination had been tested and proven. Aegis status report, Ilara said. All systems operational, Captain, the AI replied. Hull integrity at 79%. Shields at 68%. Life support stable. No immediate threats detected. Probability of reaching the next neutral system safely, 87%. Ilara nodded. Good, set course. Maximum warp. Let's move forward before they recover. The stars stretched into long streaks as the Dauntless entered warp. For the first time in weeks, there was a moment of calm aboard the ship. The crew had survived countless ambushes, navigated treacherous asteroid fields, and faced the relentless Xylar drones. And now, for a brief period, they could breathe. In the mess hall, small groups of crew members ate quietly, speaking in low voices. Conversations revolved around memories of the fleet, hopes for the future, and stories of exploration from humanity's past. Among the crew, there was a shared understanding. They carried not only themselves but the legacy of all humans who had ever reached for the stars. Lieutenant Rena Hall approached Captain Voss quietly. "Captain, do you think we'll ever find another human fleet, or other survivors?" Alara considered the question carefully. Maybe not. The fleet is gone and humanity is scattered, but even if we never find another ship, we carry humanity with us. Our courage, our curiosity, our drive to survive. That is enough to keep us alive. Humanity is not measured by numbers. It is measured by spirit. And we have plenty of that. Rena nodded slowly, comforted by the words. Even in the vast emptiness of space, hope was not gone. The crew of the Dauntless understood that survival was only the first step. Beyond that lay exploration, discovery, and the promise of a future where humanity could rise again. Aegis spoke from the bridge. "Captain, sensors indicate an uncharted system ahead. Possible habitable planets detected. Minimal energy readings. Unknown alien presence, if any. Estimated travel time, 12 hours, Ilara's eyes brightened. Prepare the crew for potential exploration. Keep shields and weapons ready. But this could be our chance to find a safe place to rest and repair. It's also a chance to leave a mark, a reminder that humanity survives." The Dauntless exited warp and drifted toward the system. The stars glimmered with colors unseen in familiar space, nebulae casting faint glows across the void. Small rocky planets orbited a dim sun, their surfaces unknown and untouched. Humanity had reached new frontiers alone, but not without hope. The crew donned suits and prepared scouting teams. Small shuttles were deployed to survey the planets. Each member moved with purpose, guided by training and a determination to ensure humanity's survival. Every discovery, every report was a small victory in a universe that had tried to erase them. Captain Voss and a small team landed on a rocky planet. The ground was uneven, covered in fine dust. Strange rock formations rose like silent sentinels, and the sky was painted in unusual hues. Despite the alien landscape, there was a sense of calm. This planet was untouched, a place where humanity could leave a footprint, however small. "This is it," Ilara said softly, looking at the horizon. "A new beginning, even if temporary. Humanity has survived destruction, ambush, and despair, and now we have a chance to endure, to thrive, and to explore." The crew moved across the surface, collecting samples, scanning the environment, and establishing temporary shelters. Each action was a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. Even in the face of uncertainty, they adapted, learned, and thrived. Back aboard the Dauntless, repairs continued tirelessly. Engineers worked in shifts, ensuring the ship was ready for any future threat. Weapon systems were tested and recalibrated. Life support was optimized for long-term travel. The Dauntless was no longer just a ship. It was a symbol of human resilience, ingenuity, and hope. Rena Hall approached Ilara again, this time with a small data pad. "Captain, we've recovered research from the derelict station and scanned the planet's resources. We can sustain ourselves here for several months if needed. We could even start sending messages in hopes of other human survivors." Ilara smiled. "Do it, humanity is not finished. Even one ship, one crew can carry hope into the darkness. We are alive, and we will be heard." As the Dauntless prepared to depart, Aegis spoke again. "Captain, the Xylar threat is currently inactive in this sector. Probability of encountering hostiles en route, low. Navigation to further unexplored systems can be optimized for safety and resource acquisition." Ilara nodded, a sense of calm determination filling her. "Set course for the next system. Keep shields ready, but let's move forward. Humanity does not wait. We endure, we explore, and we survive." In the observation deck, the crew gathered to watch the stars. Silence stretched across the room, filled with unspoken understanding. Each star represented a new possibility, a new challenge, a new adventure. Humanity was small, fragile even, but it was unbreakable in spirit. Ilara stood among them, feeling the weight of leadership and the pride of survival. "Remember this," she said softly, addressing the crew. "We are not many, but we are human. We think, we adapt, we endure. And as long as the Dauntless sails, humanity refuses to die." The crew nodded, a quiet but powerful affirmation. Each member understood that the journey ahead would be difficult, that dangers lurked in the unknown reaches of space. Yet they also knew this truth. One human vessel, one determined crew could make all the difference. The Dauntless sailed onward, a lone beacon in the vast galaxy. Though the fleet had been destroyed, the ship carried humanity's legacy. Each day, each choice, each act of courage reaffirmed that humans would survive, explore, and endure. Alara gazed out the viewport, watching stars stretch endlessly ahead. "We survive," she whispered again, a promise to her crew and to humanity itself. "Not because it is easy, but because we are human. One vessel may seem small, but it carries the spirit of a species that refuses to die." The crew watched the stars in silence, their hearts filled with hope and determination. The universe was vast, full of unknown dangers and unseen wonders. But aboard the Dauntless, humanity had proven it could endure. The final battle had been won, but the journey was only beginning. The Dauntless would explore, learn, and survive, carrying the courage, intelligence, and spirit of humanity into the uncharted reaches of space. The galaxy may be indifferent, but humanity was not defeated. As the ship moved steadily through the void, Captain Alara Voss allowed herself one final thought. One human vessel, alone against the cosmos, could not be stopped. The Dauntless was alive, the crew was alive, and humanity was alive. And that above all was enough.